Howdy folks, Shell Presto here for another Sketchin' Chat. Today's topic is the fan art conundrum. What are the pros and cons of drawing fan art, and is it legal? Just so you folks know, a Sketchin' Chat is where I share my everyday, often incomplete drawing sessions with you, instead of focusing on the entire drawing process from start to polished finish. And I'm starting off drawing Jango Fett from Star Wars Episode 2. However, I won't be talking about Star Wars today, unless I use it as an example. But I won't be talking about my thoughts on the movies or anything. If you want to hear that, I did a video drawing Admiral Raddus and Grand Moff Tarkin a while back. I'll link to that in the description. So, fan art. Before I get into it, I want to warn you all that even though I've researched the matter, I am not a lawyer, and nothing that I say in this video is legal advice. What you decide to do with your art is on your shoulders, and you should do your own research and fact-checking before you make any decisions on where you stand with fan art. Especially because copyright law changes. Lord knows the changes in 1998 were staggering, and we're just getting over those now. Okay, so firstly, everyone likes drawing what they like. That makes perfect sense. You see a movie or read a book that you like, you love a character, you want to draw them. And other people like that movie too. They want to see more of the characters from that movie. But the movie was only 2 hours long and there won't be another for 2 years. And so they're searching the internet for their favorite characters. And there's the big pro of drawing fan art. People already like established properties. They know they already like Han Solo. So if you draw Han Solo, you've already got their attention. That fan is ready to look at your art. This sounds great as an artist. You could whip up some prints and sell, whoa there, hold on a minute. And there's our first con, and it's a big one. You can't sell art that you made from other people's property. But I drew it, you may say. Well, you do own the drawing itself, but you don't own the character. So you legally can't sell it. Some people will argue that you can sell the original drawing. I know in the comic industry that this came about because many comic book companies didn't pay their artists a ton of money. So, for example, Marvel expected their artists to sell commissions of Marvel characters to make sure they could pay their rent. But it was supposed to only be okay for Marvel artists to draw Marvel characters. But there was an element of permission involved there that doesn't exist when you're not working with a company. In the end, if you don't own the characters, you're in copyright violation just from drawing them, let alone selling the originals. This first example of original drawings is still a fairly private, small transaction between the artist and one buyer, though. It begs the question, how would a large company enforce it, and who is going to check for all these small person-to-person transactions? So it may still be illegal, but the odds are very low that the property owner will enforce it. Then we get into prints. Technically, an artist isn't even supposed to be able to get prints of artwork they did of characters they don't own the rights to. For example, Walmart's photo centers policy is, quote, "By submitting content, you warrant that you are the sole author and owner of the content, or that you have obtained all required releases or permissions to permit copying, printing, licensing of the content, and your use of the Walmart Digital Photo Center, as set forth in these Walmart Digital Photo Center terms of use." End quote. That means if someone catches Walmart printing prints of Spider-Man that you drew, they are not only not liable to Marvel, but they have a signed document saying you said it was okay to print, so they can make sure Marvel knows to hold you liable for the Spider-Man prints. On a side note, if you want to hear a funny story about me arguing with an employee at Walmart about picking up prints of my own characters that I designed, I would be happy to tell you that story if people want to hear it. Let me know in the comments. Okay, so DeviantArt's print policy is this, quote, DeviantArt does not allow the sale of copyrighted characters or works. While artists can upload fan art as a deviation in their gallery, they may not make fan art available for purchase as a print without violating copyright and trademark protections. Fan art that does include copyrighted and/or trademarked materials require formal written permission from the original copyright or trademark owner. You may see fan art available as prints that are clearly violations. Please note that images submitted through standard print accounts are not checked by our quality control staff until such time as someone orders the print. At this time, the image that violate the print's guidelines will be rejected. The buyer will be informed and not charged for the rejected print." End quote. That's a big con right there. Putting work into a piece of art and not being able to make any money from the work that you did. Technically, it's illegal to make money from fan art. Whereas if you used your own original characters or characters in the public domain, you could make prints or monetize them any number of ways completely legally. Of course, whether people have any interest in your own characters is another story altogether. So the demand may not be there. So, everyone agrees that making prints of copyrighted characters is producing work with someone else's property. Even if you are the artist who did the artwork, and you only used a character you didn't own, you're not copying someone's image, aka plagiarizing. Why then, if you go to a comic book or anime convention, are there tons and tons of fan art prints everywhere from all sorts of artists not employed by the companies who own these characters? Now, some anime conventions have a policy stating that they, the convention, allow prints of copyrighted anime characters. I have no clue if they have the anime company's blessings on this, or if it just means the convention won't enforce it. And many have 50-50 rules, saying they require artists to have at least half the prints at their table to be original, meaning half can be fan art. The US branch of many of these companies attend the cons, so they must be aware of the fan art being sold. This is, again, food for thought, not a statement on the official legality of anything. But most conventions don't have a policy like that. As a matter of fact, similar to the Walmart agreement, most conventions have artists sign a form that says, well, this is from the Great Philadelphia Comic Con. Quote, "Exhibitor agrees that all merchandise items you sell and/or bring onto the premises of the host facility and GPCC, that's Great Philadelphia Comic Con, are legal and licensed. No illegal or unlicensed items are allowed. If a publisher, artist, copyright holder, or other finds that their property is being sold unlicensed by any exhibitor at the convention or elsewhere, and said publisher, artist, copyright holder, or other presses charges with the authorities, then that exhibitor will be removed from the convention premises immediately. No refunds will be issued. Exhibitor agrees not to display, play, permit the display of, or playing of, performance of, or distribution of any copyrighted material unless you have acquired all the necessary rights and approvals and have paid all necessary royalties, fees, and other payments required to gain permission to use said material." End quote. So, again, like the Walmart Photo Center, the convention is removing their liability and putting themselves in the position of being able to say, "The artist told me they owned the characters they were drawing. Here's the document they signed that said that." Seth Polanski is a lawyer who wrote an excellent blog post on fan art on his blog at sethpolanskilaw.com, and I will put a link to it in the description. It's great reading to keep you informed as an artist. His very first point in the article is, quote, "Artist vendors are selling items that clearly infringe the copyrights of others. This is a statement of fact. It is indisputable." End quote. Now, have I ever heard of any company raiding a convention over fan art prints? No, I haven't personally. Every once in a while, I'll hear about an artist selling a different artist's work as their own and getting drummed out of a convention for plagiarism with cries from fans saying that conventions should pay more attention to copyright. But that's fan or fan artist against fan artist complaints. not anything coming from official companies. And it's very ironic because if copyright really was cracked down on at cons, fan artists wouldn't be allowed to sell fan art prints whether they plagiarized or not. I have heard of companies stopping artists from selling fan comics they've created, not prints. That has specifically happened to a Full Metal Alchemist fan comic and an alphabet book featuring Wolverine that were being sold at conventions. But I've never heard of a company actually trying to put an end to illegal Captain America or Batman fan art prints. And I can tell you that fan art prints sell a ton better at Comic Cons than prints of original characters. Any artist will tell you that. Deadpool will always outsell your original creation, unless your original creation is already hugely popular. And it probably isn't if you're watching this video for advice. So if you want to make money, fan art prints seem like the way to go, if you can find a company that will turn a blind eye to printing them in the first place, which is not that hard to do, considering you see them everywhere at conventions. But you should be aware of the risk, and now you are. As bigger and bigger companies buy these properties, though, the risk sort of grows, because these companies have lawyers and employees to devote to issues like copyright and protecting their properties. However, if you have original characters you want to show the world or original stories to tell, there is another, less glaring downside to fan art. And that is that by devoting time to fan art, you are not creating or promoting your original work. You only have so many years to live and hours to draw in your lifetime, and often you're the only person who initially cares about your original work. By spending time drawing someone else's characters, you are robbing your future fans of the work you could have been producing of the characters they will love. Hopefully. On the other hand, if you need to pay your rent this month, fan art may do that for you. It's completely a trade-off. Now, let's stop talking about selling or making money off fan art. Let's just talk about drawing something and sharing it online. It can apply to selling at a convention, but let's take the making money factor out of the argument for now. Now, some people can leverage fan art to gain fans of their original work. You know, you draw Gandalf from Lord of the Rings and then say, "Hey, I have this original character, a wizard named the Promethean, and if you like my artwork, you should check him out too." But this never particularly worked for me. I find getting carryover, finding someone who likes one thing and getting them to stick around for another, is very hard and distracting from what you're trying to promote. Because you can just be trying to promote your original thing, and the fan art itself can actually be a distraction. Maybe you're ignoring the person who thinks your original steampunk techno-wizard is cool, but doesn't give a hoot about Gandalf. Maybe if you spent 8 hours reaching out to potential fans instead of drawing that picture of Gandalf, you'd be skipping the middleman of fan art. My most popular drawing on DeviantArt is a page of a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan comic that I did 11 years ago. Nearly 5,000 people have viewed it. My most popular standalone piece is a small, silly sketch card drawing of Sailor Jupiter in boxing gear. 1,500 people have looked at it. My absolute best artwork that I've poured hours into and love to bits may get 300 views at best. Most only get 30 or 40 views. Similarly, back when Google Plus was a thing, over 300 people liked or thumbs up a drawing I did of Gandalf in an hour, whereas my most popular drawing of my original characters that probably took 12 or 16 hours gained a whopping 25 likes. It may be possible for you to gain a fan base with fan art and convert them to like your original work. Don't let me stop you from trying. I'm only talking about my experience, but I decided that doing fan art did not make an appreciable gain for my original work, and that the people who will give original work a chance don't necessarily need to be wooed by fan art. This is a big topic, and there's probably a ton more to say, but I just thought I'd touch upon the risks versus rewards of it, and try to give you a little information on the debate. I will say that I do still enjoy doing fan art, I just don't hope to get anything out of it. I do it for me, or in the case of Jango Fett, for my nephew. There are tons of characters who I love, and I'll always love drawing them, but I do it for fun, not for profit or some other incentive. That said, the second character I drew here is my take on the Tin Man from The Wizard of Oz. That book is in the public domain, and the Tin Man will appear in future Ascension Epoch books, alongside Ozma, of course. So that's a different type of fan art put to good use. If you don't know what the public domain is, I'll link to another video that describes that a bit. This drawing didn't turn out how I'd like, by the way. It feels pretty stiff, and I rushed on the shadows, so I'm not fond of the end result. But there's bits and pieces that I do like about it. So I thought you folks would like to see the process of a drawing that's decent, but ultimately too flawed to consider a win. That's just how some drawing sessions go, and, you know, it's a sketch and chat, so I thought I'd share. Just so you folks know, I illustrate and co-write novels and short story collections with my husband. If you'd like to learn about them, you can head over to ascensionepoch.com or look up Presto DiBaggio on Amazon or other online book retailers. Purchasing a book helps the channel, as do likes, subscribing, and comments. We release our books under one of the Creative Commons licenses, Attribution Share Alike, but the terms on that are a whole other topic. If you liked this chat, please consider subscribing, and I'd love to hear your opinion on the fan art conundrum. Do you draw fan art for fun? Do you not like drawing fan art? Do you think artists should sell fan art prints at conventions? Do you think they should be allowed to? Heck, do you like videos on topics like this? Let me know in the comments, and most importantly of all, have an awesome day. Presto, over and out. So one of my favorite parts of going to conventions is meeting cool, talented artists who will take commissions of our characters. Since part of the Creative Commons license that we release our Ascension Epoch stuff under is share alike, it means that other artists who draw our characters have to be okay with releasing anything that incorporates our characters under a Creative Commons share alike license as well. Fortunately, the Brothers Frame are a-okay with that, and they're a heck of a pair of artists. And pair indeed, because they're twins who team up to do artwork together. This is artwork that they did of Ephemera and Meteora from our Challenger Confidential books. I love their clean, almost 1960s comic book style. I'll leave a link to their website in the description, and if you want to hear a story with Meteora in it, I'll also leave a link to a previous video in which I read one while drawing her. That's it for this video, folks. Have an awesome day. Presto, over and out.